Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Quick Strikes here on the Bay Bolts channel. Another Lightning win to talk about as they take on their 2020 Stanley Cup Finals opponent, the Dallas Stars, and beat them once again this season, improving their record to 4-0 against the Stars. My name is Mike Wax, joined as always with my co-host Jake Rickard. Jake, a astounding defensive performance tonight by the Lightning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. Play all night, baby. Another Lightning win. They're rolling with another streak right now. A certain someone set a franchise record, which we'll get into a little bit. Poor Sergachev took a puck to the face as well, so hopefully he's okay. That poor guy. Vasilevsky might have to buy him an extra beer after tonight's game. But overall, a great performance from the Lightning. Very happy from what I saw. So can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, and before the game started, a couple of line and defensive pair notes. Andreas Borgman coming into his second game as a member of the Lightning, and Alex Volkov coming back into the lineup. Ross Colton, who had been performing pretty well, subbing out, as well as an injured Ryan McDonough. So the Lightning still rolling with a 12-6. And for the most part, those six defensemen were extraordinary. You talked about Mikhail Sergachev really putting his body on the line, especially against his own teammate in Andre Vasilevsky. But Eric Chernak was fantastic. Victor Hedman was stellar as always. Jan Ruda, who I know has gotten a lot of flack from Lightning fans, did exactly what he needed to do. And even in a shaky first period for the Borgman and Foot pairing, I thought they were awesome in the final two or final 40 minutes, I should say. Just a really, really solid night by the defensive system.
Some people on Twitter, and I tend to agree with them on this, were saying this was the best defensive performance we've seen from the Tampa Bay Lightning this season. It was fantastic. They held the Stars to just 17 shots on net. And to give people who may not understand how great that is, kind of a reference, you probably average about 8 to 10 shots a period. So generally, when a team gets right around the 30 mark, is pretty average for teams. The Lightning had 26 shots on net tonight for 3 periods. Stars just had 17. That's almost like a whole period of them not shooting the puck whatsoever. That is a fantastic job by the defense. They really, for once, helped out Vasilevsky when normally when it's Vasi helping out the defense. So really good to see the defense really get clicking right there. Even without guys like Ryan McDonough, that's great job by them overall. Hopefully, this can continue now a little bit more. But this was definitely a solid defensive performance from the Lightning.
Yeah, and you could hear it after the game. Andre Vasilevsky said it was an unbelievable effort from everybody on the defensive side. The forwards came back to back check, which is something that you need if you're going to have a team that really buys into the system. And I thought that the forwards did a fantastic job. Another big positive in terms of individual lines, man, they decided to put back the Gord line together with Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow, and they were awesome. They really controlled the play all night in the Dallas zone. Even when they had to go into their own zone, they made it very quick in order to get it back into the neutral zone. They really pushed the play towards Anton Hudobin. They did not draw any penalties, which was a little bit rare for them, and they took a couple, which we'll get to later in the episode, but a stellar performance by that third line, which continues to do exactly what it needs to every single game.
Absolutely fantastic. And especially Yanni Gord. Yanni Gord is on fire. He's got a little bit of a goal streak going right now. He's been playing so well. The way that guy can get a puck on net uh, against all odds, even with someone right on top of him, and then pick up these rebounds is absolutely fantastic. He's really good at following through on his plays. I love how Yanni Gord is playing right now. He has been so good for the Bolts as of late, especially. He was great again tonight. He's also that guy that can put a lot of grit out there as well. He's a feisty guy and will not back down from a fight. So that's always good to have on your team as well. But special shout out to Yanni Gord. But that line, and Michael, we talked about this line struggling in the last game. And we said, as it's always been for the Lightning, no matter what problem they've had, except for maybe penalties, which we'll get to later. But they find ways to make adjustments and fix the problems that they have, which is a sign of a team that wins hockey games. That's why the Lightning have reached 50 points, by the way, in just 32 games, which is absolutely outstanding. This team's playing so well.
Yeah, they're playing absolutely fantastic, both defensively and offensively. And when they struggle, the goalies have bailed them out. And I'm saying both of Vasilevsky and McElhinney. We saw McElhinney bail them out countless times in their last meeting, but just Vasilevsky didn't even have to do anything big. I only think that he made one big save the entire game, and it was on Robinson in like the final 5 minutes, which, give the Stars credit. After only being held to one shot in the second period, they did outshoot the Lightning. And you could say some of that is score effects, but you could also say that the Stars were pushing back and trying to win this game because it was only a 2-0 game at that point. They really felt like they were not out of it. And Vasilevsky did shut the door. The power play was what it was. It was fine, 1 for 3, which is sort of what we expect at this point. I believe that is power play goals in 5 consecutive games, which is surprising considering how much they have struggled, per se, over this little stretch that they've had. I think when we talk about the power play, it's because the first unit may be struggling, but the second unit scores, or the second unit may be struggling, but the first unit scores. And sometimes they're moving their feet, but sometimes they're not. It's really an inconsistent power play, but in terms of getting results, it's very consistent.
Well, it's funny, Michael. We've been hard on the power play, but yet they're second in the league on power play at
Yeah.
28.7%, which is crazy. It actually surprised me. I remember when I saw that on one of the broadcasts that they were up that high. But listen, 1 for 3 is pretty average for an NHL team. Not bad at all. The one goal they did get on the power play from Steven Stamkos, that was a crazy goal because it weirdest deflection off of the Dallas defender's stick and went right through the 5 hole of Anton Hudobin, and it ended up going at the back of the net. Steven Stamkos didn't even know he scored, I don't think, when he took that shot, but the puck got in. You know what they say, put pucks on the net and good things will happen. So that's exactly what they did. So power play's been playing well as of late. I love to see it. You can't complain when you're second in the league on power play. So hopefully that can continue. And not bad at all for the Lightning on the power play. They've had really good puck movement as of late. That's something I've noticed personally. And even though they're not scoring on every power play, it seems like their movement and they're generating, some momentum, which is a very, very good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime that you can generate some momentum when you're up 5 skaters to 4, it's always a good sign. The final positive before we get to the negatives and to your fan questions, the penalty kill. And I know the penalty kill allowed another power play goal today, but that 5-on-3 kill where they had, you know, two big time penalty killers in Mikhail Sergachev and Blake Coleman in the penalty box. Blake Coleman taking another penalty. They got it done, and they got it done with 2.5 skaters. Anthony Sorelli, Victor Hedman, and a basically on one leg Eric Chernak, who got hit in the foot a couple of minutes earlier and was in indescribable pain. So huge credit to the penalty killers, especially at 5-on-3. They did exactly what they needed to. And I think that is what propelled the Lightning to this win tonight.
Yeah, the penalty kill was great, and we've seen them kind of struggle as of late. So it's really nice to see them get back on track, going 3 for 4. The one issue I have noticed, and I know this is kind of getting a negative territory, but I think it needs to be brought up, is that especially in the last couple of games and on the one power play goal that happened tonight, they let guys stand alone in front of the net, where players are able to get standing right in front of Vasi all by themselves. And when they get hold of that puck, they can walk right in front, do whatever they want. And it's almost impossible for Vasi to make a save, or Curtis McElhinney for that matter, if he's in net. So that's been the one issue I've noticed with this penalty kill, but going 3 for 4, killing off the 5-on-3, that's a great job. I can't complain too much about that. There looks like they got back on track tonight, and hopefully we can see that continue. And Michael, before we get into the negatives, one last thing I want to mention as well is Andrei Vasilevsky with his win tonight got a new franchise record. It's his 12th consecutive win. Previous record was held by Louis Domingue at 11. So Vasilevsky sets a franchise record. So congratulations to Andrei Vasilevsky right there. Great job by him. It's well deserved.
Well deserved by the big cat. The thing that I will counteract, I guess, with the penalty kill, you mentioned that it was keep leaving guys open. Someone that is not normally on the penalty kill tonight was Cal Foote. And, think that Cal Foote's going to be a great defenseman in the NHL one day. I don't think he's quite ready for the penalty kill because he did not know his positioning. And that's ultimately what led to the only mistake by the Lightning in this game. So,
And that's a small, very small nitpick. Again,
exactly.
we got 50 points so far in 36 games. We're way beyond anybody in the league. We have a plus 42 goal differential. When we complain about things, I don't even want to say complain. It's very small. How can we become even better at this point? The Lightning have been playing so well this season that it's hard to complain and find things to point out as negatives.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that the team does as well as it can. So when we point out these things, they're more constructive criticism than anything.
Because all those players are definitely listening to our podcast right now,
Exactly,
thinking how to get better.
exactly.
But
But
hey,
the
if you are out there and you are listening to the podcast or the show, we'd love to hear from you and we'd love to have you on the show. So give us a shout, come on our podcast and join us for an interview.
sounds great. Getting to one thing that you mentioned earlier, it's very concerning. Gotta stop taking penalties. Like this is just a reoccurring issue, and this is going to sound like a nitpick, but honestly I think this is becoming a big problem for the Lightning. Is they just keep on taking anywhere from 3 to 5 penalties every single night, and you're going to wear out your penalty killers, especially if it's 5-on-3. Now you might not wear out all of them because some of your penalty killers are the ones that are taking the penalties. I'm looking straight at the direction of Barclay Goodrow and Blake Coleman, both of whom have taken an obscene amount or absurd amount of penalties over the past couple of games. But you just need to be better, and they haven't been. And I don't know when this is going to get better. And I don't know how to fix this, honestly.
Well, it's discipline. Cooper's got to sit these guys down and just kind of lay into them a little bit, I think. But you're right. I'm no coach. I've never coached in the NHL before, let alone anywhere. So I don't know how you exactly fix it. But there's got to be some form of discipline, I would imagine. But this is a problem. This is a real problem for the Lightning. Luckily, they've been so good on offense that it's often, you don't notice it as much. But you look at these last couple of games where the penalty kill had been struggling, both these teams like Chicago were flying on the power play. Chicago had 2 power play goals. Even in this one against Dallas, in the first period of this game, the Lightning take a penalty and get scored on the power play. And that right there is how it shows it can come back to bite you. And this was a 2-1 game. So, that power play goal was huge for the Stars. It's what kept them in this game the whole time. The Lightning played so well defensively. And your penalty kill is not going to be there for you every night. So think about this, in the playoffs, come playoff time. You're playing against good teams all the time, especially in the division that the Lightning are in. You're going to be playing either Carolina, Florida, who are both really good teams for possibly 2 rounds. And in a game 6, game 7 scenario, if you're taking too many penalties and your penalty kill has that one off night, that's going to kill you and eliminate you from the playoffs. So they have really got to find a way to stop taking penalties. It's continued to be masked by the Lightning's great penalty kill play and great defensive play, but they're taking way too many. That's something that has got to stop. That's the biggest issue with this team right now. Other than that, we're just about perfect, but that is something that really needs to be fixed because I think it will come back to bite them. Luckily tonight, of course, as soon as I start to think, all right, maybe I can finally show up and see, like, this is why we need to fix this. Penalty kill comes through again for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But that's a concern right now. They've got to stay out of the box.
Yeah, and you want to know how dominant the Lightning have been when they're not taking penalties against the Dallas Stars. They have not allowed a 5-on-5 goal or a 4-on-4 goal, any type of even strength goal in 5 consecutive games against Dallas.
Amazing.
And that goes back to last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. Corey Perry's overtime winner was the last time the Lightning had surrendered a 5-on-4 or 5-on-5 goal to the Dallas Stars, which just shows you their run of dominance against Dallas last year wasn't particularly close in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we can say that with the benefit of hindsight because we won. but it just seems like the Lightning know exactly what to do when they're facing the Stars. Their only problem is they cannot seem to keep themselves out of the penalty box, and it is costing them dearly, especially over the last two games where they've been scored on twice on the penalty kill and twice at 6-on-5.
If we didn't have these problems on the penalty, our goal differential might be plus 55 at this point. Honestly, that's how crazy it is. But luckily for the Lightning, everything else is going right, so it's not been an issue where it's causing us to lose just quite yet. But again, come playoff time, every game is super important, obviously. And if the penalty kill just happens to not be there that night, that could really, really hurt them. And that's something that is my biggest concern. But luckily, right now, it is not too much of an issue because everything else is going right. So that is good. But that's my one major concern for this team, is those penalties.
Yeah, exactly. And we usually talk about 2 to 3 negatives per game. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have any more. Like this was a very solid performance by the Lightning.
Well, Michael, we can always complain about the faceoffs because the Lightning are never really that good on faceoffs. Oh, wait, they were over 50% again in this game for about
Yeah,
the third or fourth consecutive times. Yes, round of applause again to the Lightning
Ron.
on the faceoff circle. So fantastic job by them. But you're right. There's nothing to complain about. And that's, again, why I go back to when we complain about something. These are small little nitpicks. Lightning fans, I don't think they understand sometimes how spoiled they are with this team. And did we mention Nikita Kucherov still hasn't played a single game for the Tampa Bay Lightning? I mean, it is just absolutely amazing at how well this team plays and how good they are. We are watching the history English. We are watching the making of history right now. This is one of the best teams that I know Lightning fans for sure have ever seen. They don't have the cups to back it up right now. They just got one. And if they can get a couple more, we might be watching a dynasty in progress. And I don't think that's crazy to say whatsoever.
I don't think it's crazy to say. It is crazy to believe, though, going from that statement, which I just can't wrap my head around. Let's go to our fan questions. Just the one that is on me as I was covering the game, only got the fan questions out right after the game. We like to record these right after the game. From Yellowburn Marketing, asked, do you think we see Curtis McElhaney on Thursday or Saturday to close out the road trip? Now, that's really interesting because as we saw in Curtis's last performance, he was fantastic. And that was him coming off, I think it was only a couple of days between starts, which had not happened previously with him in terms of uh, over the season. He usually tried to do once a week, but that got messed up with COVID and with other things in the schedule. But with Yellowbird Marketing asking about that, we face Dallas on Thursday and Carolina on Saturday before returning home to face the Blue Jackets on the following Tuesday. It's very possible. Jake, I'll let you get into it more, but I think that if they wanted to stick to their one game a week plan, and I know Curtis played on Sunday, let him play on Saturday. Let him see what he has, and if he performs great, then fantastic. But if he doesn't, then it is what it is.
The Lightning are so far up in the standings, they can absolutely afford to give Vasi a day off and let McElhinney play. Now, will he play at the end of this road trip? I don't know. It's really hard to say, to be honest. They're not playing any back to backs. They're having a day off in between each game for a while now. So there's not like there's any multitude of games coming up in a quick span. So that's good news for the Lightning there. So if I have to answer the question and to take a guess here, I don't think he plays this weekend. I would imagine Vasi plays both of these next upcoming games against Dallas and Carolina. Vasi is the type of goaltender to take that heavy load. He would play every single game if he could. And Vasi's so good, why not let him play? Heck, he could go for another NHL record this time for consecutive wins. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, but I don't think he'll play. I can guarantee you he'll play April 19th to the 20th because that's the next back-to-back for the Lightning against Carolina. But you're right, Michael. He had a really good against Florida. So maybe we do get to see him a little bit sooner than we might have expected if he had still, not had a great performance against the Panthers. So it's hard to say, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him a little bit sooner than we would have expected. But I'm going to say no for the end of this road trip. Maybe we see him against Columbus though on the 30th and give Vasi that really extended period of rest.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And, the Coach Cooper plan at the beginning of the season was I want to get McElhinney in at least one game per week. Curtis McElhinney's extended stay on the COVID list kind of put that into a bit of a jumbled mess. And he's trying to get McElhinney as many games in as possible, but he was also trying to get in Vasilevsky in as many games as possible. Because let's not forget, I know that this fourth seed in the division is a little bit weaker because of Chicago and Dallas and Nashville, but in Columbus for that matter. But the top three teams in the division are really good, and your placement is going to matter exponentially whether you have to face the fourth seeded team or you have to face a team like Carolina or Florida. Now, if Curtis McElhinney is playing better than he was at the beginning of the season, for sure, let him get more games. And I understand that Vasilevsky does not want to take any games off. He wants to play every single game, but at some point, you do need to rest your star goaltender. So, will we see him? I'm not sure, but I'd like to see it.
Absolutely. He definitely deserves the opportunity. He looked good, and it's always good to give your goaltender some rest. And Michael, you mentioned that fourth and fifth seed. That's going to be an interesting watch for Lightning fans right now. Chicago and Columbus battling it out. Currently, Chicago sits in that fourth spot. But I bet you the Lightning would much rather play Chicago than have to face Columbus again because that is a hard fought series. Even though Lightning won it in 5 games, it took a lot out of the Lightning. And obviously, of course, always with 2019, you don't want to play Columbus. So it's going to be really interesting to see who the Lightning potentially may have to face if they remain in first place throughout the rest of this season, and who they'll face in that first round potentially. So, but only time will tell. Right now, the Lightning are playing fantastic, and we love to see it. So great from this game overall.
Yep, and that'll do it for us on this edition of Quick Strikes. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for more news, notes, and game recaps. We do the live game recaps every single game on Twitter. Come hang out with us. Come ask us questions. Come make sure to ask us questions for these Quick Strike videos. Make sure to comment down below on this video as well. If you have anything else, we would love to hear from you. We will reply to you as well. But that is going to do it for us today. For Jake Ricker, I'm Michael Wax. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, the Tampa Bay Lightning are still defending Stanley Cup champions.
Go Bolts.